guys, it's Vanessa with Colorado's Pride Cane Corsos, and I wanted to start a little mini series going over some of the things that a lot of my clients ask and things. I'm part of a lot of online Cane Corso groups as well, so I just wanted to go over some of the things that I've noticed other people ask. So I'm going to be doing a series of videos. Today's video is going to be on the raw diet. Raw diet has been a little bit of a buzzword, a little bit of, it was just one of those diets that came to be pretty popular. There's been breeders who've been doing it for a very, very, very long time. But recently, it's definitely gotten a lot of publicity, a lot of hype. Hype, that's what I meant to say. So it's gotten a lot of publicity and a lot of hype recently. And I kind of just wanted to go over the pros and cons at first, and then I'll tell you how I do it with my pack. So as you may or may not know, we have a pack of 5. So we've got Mama, which is Gaia, Dad, which is Zeus, and then we own 3 of their triplets. So without further ado, let's talk about raw diet. Now there's 3 main types. The first type is like a homemade raw diet, and I'm sure you've seen them on Instagram and social media and other platforms, where basically you go to the store and you get, amongst other things, either like chicken feet or raw ground beef, raw pork. I've seen like goose and duck heads and necks. It also consists of like internal organs like liver and stuff like that. And basically you mix that with some veggies, because you do have to make sure that you try and balance it, and then maybe some rice, or there's a bunch of different ways to do it, the homemade raw diet. Now the next kind is called the frozen diet, where basically you order these like mushy logs, and then you freeze them, and then you come home and then you thaw them out, before every mealtime. And then the last one is a little bit more convenient, which is the freeze dried raw diet. Freeze dried raw diet. Say that 10 times fast. Freeze dried raw diet, which is basically like freeze dried food that gets rehydrated with either like chicken broth or even water. Most people probably do it with water. So those are the 3 main types. The homemade, where you mix the whole confection yourself. Frozen diet, which comes to you, and then you have to make sure that you defrost it before every mealtime. And the freeze dried raw diet. So those are the 3 main types there. This is Hercules here saying hello. And then, so now I want to talk about the pros and cons. To me, and obviously people who do this diet, there's, I'm sure, many other main pros. But to me, hey, you should turn around so that they can see you. Come here. All right, I'm gonna turn to see if I can get him to turn. Turn, turn, turn. Good boy. Good boy. I don't know if you've seen other Corso videos, but they like to like bury themselves in you. It's so funny. Anyway, so one of the main pros is that you know what's in your dog's food. Obviously that's very important. Um, you know, I know that for a lot of people, it's very important to know what they eat, and it's very important to know how their pets eat. So obviously one of the main pros is that you know exactly what is going into their food every day. Um, Another pro is that it's easy to customize. So if you notice that maybe your dog needs a little bit more protein, or maybe you need to up the fats a little bit, or the carbs, whatever you feel like he or she needs, it's easy to customize. And then another one would be, and this one is this is probably the main reason why people go to raw diet, is you hear all these miracle stories. Oh, their skin is like glowing like diamonds, and their breath, and they don't stink, and it cured their cancer, and you hear all these stories, and it's you love them. These guys are part of your family, so it's kind of hard to be like, well, how am I not going to give them the best of everything? So I get it, especially hearing all those stories. I mean, it's tough. It really is tough to know what's real and what's not real, and what stories are legitimate and which ones are not. Alrighty, now here are the cons. This guy, this is Zeus here, sitting down, and this is baby Luna. Now some of the cons to doing the raw diet, either one of the three that you choose, is there goes my Zeus. He's gonna lay down. I'm gonna move out of the way so you guys can see him. Um, so one of the cons to doing the raw diet is that it is extremely time consuming. You do have to prep each and every single meal. You can't just, leave the food there for them to grab whenever they want. So it is extremely time consuming. You have to make sure that you feed them at their scheduled times each and every single day. So if you have dinner plans, or if you have to go out of town for the weekend, you have to make sure that you find people who will stick to the schedule, stick to the protocol, and will do it exactly the same way each and every single time. So, I mean, it's time consuming. I don't know. There's really no argument with that. It's time consuming. Um, Secondly, and this is one of the main reasons why I don't do it. Actually, no, I lied. I don't do it for all of these reasons, but this one scares me, which is there is a degree of food poisoning that you are essentially risking each and every single time. You're trusting that the meat was handled properly at the store each and every single time. You're trusting that you stored it properly. Our day job is we own a food truck and catering company, so I know how important holding temps and keeping things at their certain temps is. So, for me, and it's probably a double-edged sword because I know so much about holding temps and what can happen to you if you don't hold food at the right temp. I think that probably makes it a little bit more worrisome for me because I know the consequences of what can happen. So number three is making sure that the raw food is nutritionally efficient so that your dog doesn't become nutritionally deficient. So, most reputable, good, and I'm talking like good dog food, and I'm not saying just because it says organic, it's a good dog food. No, no, no. There's a whole other metrics and system to judge, actual kibble by. But with that said, there are dog nutritionists that do this for a living, and it's a science, and they've studied and they've found out, and a lot of times people say, well, raw food is like going back to their roots or back to their ancestry. Well, we've domesticated dogs to the point where even us as humans, we couldn't eat raw food the way that it was made for our ancestors. If you look at a banana today versus a banana that our ancestors had, it's totally different now. So our bodies have evolutionized, and as have they. And yes, obviously they do have the part wolf in them, but it's not the same. So the kibble now has the science and ingredients backed by what dogs, need in today's world. And then another reason, and this one's a pretty big one for most people, especially for me, that I have five Cane Corsos, is it's expensive. It's very expensive to solely feed a raw food diet. And I know that I've seen a lot of people who try and do it in several different ways to make it a little bit more affordable, and I applaud them. But again, mainly for me, for us personally, it's the time consuming part. So as I'm sure you can tell, we don't do raw food diet. We don't do raw food diet. And so what we feed our pups, and I'll link it down below, is we feed our dogs Purina Pro Sport. We tried Victor's, we tried From, we've tried a couple different of the big names that um, that are touted by many people in the industry. So we tried a couple different kinds, but this was ultimately the one that works for all our dogs. All our dogs like it. When we have a litter, this is the food that we mix with. We make a concoction of canned food from Diamond Naturals, which we love, and the Purina Pro, and their puppy formula. So when we're weaning them from mom, that's kind of what we introduce them to. So when they leave my house, they leave eating the food that they will eat, obviously, if their new owners want to continue, that they will eat for the rest of their life. So it's not one of those foods that you have to buy puppy food first and then adult food. No, no, no. You're able to feed them through all stages and it is for large breed dogs. It's backed by all the science stuff. I moved to this side so you can see my brood a little bit better. In the very end is Miss Luna. Then we have my Herky Turkey, we call him. And then Miss Fifi right here, and Mr. Zeus. Oh, I don't think you can see Mr. Zeus. So those are the reasons why we don't feed raw diet. Honestly, more than anything, it's a time perspective. Having five of them all at once is quite time consuming, and I'd rather spend the time on training and socialization and so much more that this breed requires. In addition to making sure that they have, adequate and nutritionally efficient food. So what we do is we free feed the Purina Pro Sport. So we have a big tub, and this actually helps with resource guarding. Everybody eats from the same bowl. It doesn't matter how old they are, from the puppies. Sometimes we have a couple of our puppies from our recent litters come and they spend the day with us for socialization skills. And so the puppies will eat from this bowl all the way up to mom and dad. The triplets, everybody eats from the same bowl, makes it so that there's no resource guarding tendencies. We try to curb that early on. Another thing that we do with our pack is we give them a ton of extra cooked protein. So in the mornings, I will scramble an egg, and everybody gets an egg. Or even sometimes I'll do like a fried egg or even a boiled egg, but everybody gets an egg. Um, at lunch, they'll either get a little bit of cooked chicken, or they'll get cooked beef, or it just depends on what we're eating. So whatever we eat, they tend to also eat as well. And we use it for a couple different reasons. So we use it for training. We do either actual like sit, stay, roll over, those kinds of training with the foods as an incentive. When you use the higher grade foods versus like treats, usually you tend to get a more receptive dog. They're usually more, these are working dogs, so they want to work for what they're going to get. So when you give, we cut up a hot dog, let's say, it's a higher reward for them to work for that hot dog. So we use it for training, but it's also good to teach them to be gentle, which is also part of training. So we feed them either from our hands, or depending on what it is, sometimes I'll stick it in the beginning of my mouth and let them jump up. We put it in our hand, and it teaches them to be gentle and to take it from my hand in a more gentle fashion. So anyway, hope you guys like the video. If you have any questions or concerns, comments, drop them down below. Like I said, I'll be doing one of these videos kind of going over generally what I've seen, a lot of the same questions over and over, and also things that I talk to with my clients over and over. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next week. Oh, my Zeus. Big stretch. Big stretch. Big stretch. Yeah. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Let them look at you. Let them look at you. Okay. All of the nutritional, como se dice, variances. Um, Luna, come here. Tuna la luna.